All right, hello everyone. Welcome to another edition of our T&J Sports Podcast. I'm TStalls.
Drizzy over here.
And we have a lot to cover this episode. We have games 2 and 3 of the NBA Finals, and we're going to discuss Game 4 and our predictions, which are tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. We have a lot more to discuss along with just NBA Finals. We have a new Los Angeles Lakers coach. We have a new ownership that owns my favorite team, the Denver Broncos. What's that mean for the franchise? And then a little bit about UofL Baseball and where we are now. So again, like I said, we're going to discuss games 2 and 3. So before I get into our predictions, what's your thoughts on that game so far?
I mean, they've been kind of back and forth. I thought Game 3 was, I feel like Game 2 might have been the best game out of them all in terms of matchup, I guess, back and forth wise. But I felt like the first half was kind of a blowout in Game 3. Kind of, almost fell asleep, kind of knew the outcome very early on. But we'll see what happens going into Game 4 tonight.
So what we had last week when we made our predictions for Game 2, I went back and watched and make sure I kept track of who we have as the winner and what we had as the score. So we both predicted the right winner. Of course, Game 2, we knew Golden State wasn't going to lose 2 in a row, especially not at home. So Golden State was the winner of the game. I predicted a 115-104 score, and Drizzy, you predicted 123-113. I also predicted that Curry, Clay, and Poole will combine for 55 plus. And the results came back. Golden State won the score of 107-88. So we're both a little bit over on the score. But Curry combined with Clay Thompson and Poole for 57 total points. So I feel like I got, 2 out of 3 there. That's close enough. But Curry had 29 points. Clay had an underwhelming 11 points. And then Poole, as I mentioned in the last episode, Poole had to play a big factor in this game, which he did. He had 2 big threes at the end of the third quarter to put this game to bed pretty much. Like you're saying, after the first half, it was a little close, but we kind of knew where it was going to go. And then once that third quarter happened, which the Warriors have been winning the third quarter nonstop, even in Game 3, when we discussed that, they destroyed in Game 3. But Poole hit 2 big threes to go into the fourth quarter. Curry was on fire. Clay didn't find a shot, and Poole played a big role. Draymond played more physical, I think, in Game 2, and he made his presence known more so than he did in Game 1. I think that was the huge factor into the win as well. You can see him pushing around Grant Williams, pushing around Tatum a little bit too much at times. I've seen a video where he pretty much tackled Tatum on a free throw by Wiggins, and I was just like, this guy's playing a completely different sport out there. But what else can you expect from Draymond? I've grown to like the person Draymond when he does his podcast, but the player Draymond is the same as it will always be. I just don't like his play style. I mean, what's your thoughts on Draymond during that game?
I mean, he's tough and physical. He's always running his mouth, but he's done that for years.
Yeah.
I think his favorite saying is, they are who we thought they were, and he is who we know he is. And that's what he does. And he's going to muck it up. And honestly, after looking back at Game 3, how poorly he performed in the game itself, he's going to have to muck it up, get a little bit more physical to dirty it up inside, especially if, Kevon Looney can't be in there for matchup reasons, and Draymond's playing the 5. Obviously, he's a little shorter. You got Al Horford out there, sometimes Daniel Tice. He's going to have to get a little bit more physical, maybe jam up on some guys. It's going to look a little bit more like 90s era basketball from Draymond, I feel like. But I feel like that's what's going to happen at this point for the Warriors to have a chance, is he's going to have to be physical and show up in that regard.
Definitely. And I like that you referenced the 90s because that was a huge topic after the game with the way he was playing. And I don't know exactly what he said, but I remember watching and just laughing because, I mean, everybody thinks the 90s was just so tough and, bully wise, but it was like, he even said it. He said, you got fined $25 back then. I get fined $1 million if I get into a fight. So it's like, I have more to sacrifice here. So going on with that game, Tatum had 28 points. But the thing was, he had 21 in the first half. and he went missing in the second half again. We've seen this happen periodically throughout the playoffs. He goes for X amount of numbers in the first half, 20, sometimes 25 plus points in the first half. And then in the second half, he's gone, where he only scored 7 points in game 2. Brown was effective with 17 points. And then another key factor, Boston had 19 turnovers, which translated into 33 points for the Golden State Warriors, who only had 12. I mean, just looking at that, you would know who won the game just by seeing, Boston with 19 turnovers and 33 points given to Golden State off those turnovers. Obviously, they're going to win, and they won by almost 30 points. Well, almost 20 points. So yeah. So game 2, our predictions were Boston to win that first game at home, which they did. The results were good. We got 116-100, Boston being the winner. That game, we seen a much more effective Tatum. He had 26 points, which is less than game 2, but he was still more effective with 9 assists. Jaylen Brown is continuously showing that, hey, I'm not a co-star here. I'm not Robin. I can be Batman when I need to be Batman. And if Tatum's not going to be Batman, then I'm going to be the guy. And he was the guy. He had 27 points with 9 rebounds. Their big three, Tatum, Brown, and then Smart balled out as well. 24 points, 5 assists, 7 rebounds. I think that's a key factor right there. That game kind of turned me a little bit on who I think will win this. Did your mindset go from picking the Warriors in 5, right? That's what you picked them in, Warriors,
Yeah.
5, which obviously that's not going to happen now. But does your mindset change on who you think is going to win this now?
A little bit. It definitely does a little bit. Just seeing the way that the Warriors have been playing. Clay hasn't been able to show up. Yep. Draymond has another bad game like that, as well as now we got to worry about Curry and his leg or ankle after getting rolled on. What's going to become of that? Poole has been inconsistent as of late. And I mean, once you get past that, you got to, you've got Wiggins, but as a whole, Golden State seems to be a little flustered. Haven't really seen that from them, especially in finals appearances in the past, even when they didn't have Kevin Durant. A little bit, yeah. I'd say I'm leaning maybe more towards Boston taking this, especially if, Jaylen Brown right now, if the series ended tonight, I feel like he would be finals MVP the way he's been playing. He's been consistent with his defense, consistent showing up on the offensive end. That's my pick. If, Boston ends up winning this and he has consecutive game 4 and 5 the way he did in the past few, I think he would take finals MVP for sure. So leaves me more to believe that Boston might actually take this. I didn't think they had a chance at it at the beginning, but the way they've been playing, I could totally see them cutting down the nets.
Definitely. I seen that's why I said, Warriors in game 6, because I seen Boston giving them trouble. I kind of had a feeling that they'll take at least one game at the Warriors and then getting at least one win at home. And then I think the Warriors can now figure it out. I thought it would be with game 4 going tonight, it may go to a 2-2 series. And, going back to the Warriors, that can still keep my prediction alive of Warriors in 6, but the Warriors have to win, 3 in a row just to get my prediction right. But can they do it? Yes. My thing I was going to ask you, do you think it's the age thing for the Warriors to lose that like they did last night or in game 3? Or do you think it's more of the Celtics coming of age or becoming more distinguished in this league? They're learning how to play better defense, they're coaching. They're getting taught how to properly guard the Warriors, and I think the Warriors are getting figured out. So do you think they're getting figured out, or the thing is just old age because Draymond and Klay Thompson?
I don't think age has much to do with it. I honestly think that your key guys for the Warriors aren't showing up when they need to, and your key guys for the Celtics are. Tatum still disappears in the second half sometime, but Smart is back healthy. Obviously, we talk about game 1, Horford and Derek White each dropped like almost 20 points, I think. So the role players are getting involved, whereas the Warriors role players aren't getting involved. They're having matchup issues, like I said, with Kevon Looney not being able to guard out on the perimeter. Draymond playing the 5. I think we're coming to a point where, maybe we need to rethink the Warriors dynasty as a whole at this point, it might not be as solid as what we thought it could be going into this series because they're getting exposed in a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
And I want to point out, honestly, when I was watching game 3, I thought Steph, even way before the injury, even in the first half, honestly looked a little tired in the way that he was jogging and lagging around. It just like, to me, he just looked like he was there and not actually like locked in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, oh yeah. He's getting beat up. I mean, we said that going into the series, like this is a different kind of physicality he's going to feel playing against Boston, who knows how to play defense. Not to say, you know, any of the other teams that they played to this point didn't play good defense, but he's not having Luka out there guarding him. He's not having Dinwiddie out there guarding him. He's having Marcus Smart, Defensive Player of the Year. He's having Jaylen Brown, who's going to put, you know, he's going to put a body on you. And he has Jason Tatum that can come after him. He has, you know, bigs that know how to stay in front of you a little bit, at least run you off the three-point line. And if you do decide to take it in, you're either going to have another big coming to stop you, and then Grant Williams can also defend. So I think it's just, you know, it's wear and tear. It's the finals. I mean, he's been through this before. Yes, he had more help, so the wear and tear on his body kind of went down in previous finals appearance. But this one, it's just kind of like Curry and, you know, the Warriors. It's whereas before it was Curry, Kevin Durant, and the Warriors, or Curry and Thompson, the healthy Thompson, and the Warriors. So now it's just Curry, and he's got to be the person to carry this. And now, like you said, with that injury, which he sustained in the fourth quarter, when it was pretty much already over with, he got that injury. But another thing, like I like to mention, turnover-wise, you know, in game 2, Boston had 19, and Golden State had 12, so they lost the turnover battle there. But in game 3, Golden State had 17 turnovers to Boston's 12. You know, Golden State still kept it close. They took the lead in the third quarter, but Boston came out strong in the fourth to take that control and take the lead. They don't lose 2 games in a row. Boston doesn't lose 2 games in a row. They haven't since March. That's crazy. They haven't lost 2 games in a row since March. So, you know, that's the end of the season. Going into the playoffs, they haven't lost twice. But another crazy stat is they're 6-4 at home in the playoffs, and then 8-3 on the road. So it kind of plays a factor into my prediction for tonight, which I'll get into later. But I mean, we'll see how it goes. With that stat in mind, it's very important that Boston took control of game 1 like they did, because that helps keep them in the loop and keeps them on track to pull this out to maybe game 7 or, you know, game 6. They can win it. I mean, if they win tonight, man, curtain call could be, you know, at the Warriors' place. So, yeah. So what is your prediction for tonight, game 4?
Prediction for tonight, if I'm being honest, you know, I liked my Warriors in 5. Obviously, that's not going to happen. I do think the Warriors are bounce back tonight, have a really decent game. But all in all, I think I'm gonna go with Boston to go up 3-1 tonight. I think it'll be about 112, 105. I'll go score wise. But there's a lot of factors that need to play out for the Warriors to actually have a chance tonight. So we'll see how it goes. But that's what I feel at the moment right now. I think Boston will take game 4.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I think it's going to be Boston again. And I say that because Curry's going off an ankle injury, foot injury. He had a foot injury that kept him out of the rest of the regular season. And then now he has an ankle injury. So, you know, I'm not sure if it was both the same leg, but, you know, hopefully he can come out and play. Because, again, I'm all about seeing a great game. I don't want to see a blowout by any means. But I do predict Boston to win. But that injury is going to play a factor. And then I think Draymond's going to try to overcompensate tonight. He's going to try to – he heard all that chirping. And, of course, you can go listen to his podcast, I'm sure, and he's probably still chirping about, you know, how things happen and how now it's different. I feel like he's going to come out there and try to prove a point that's not going to get proven. And either he's going to get a technical foul or ejected. Something's going to cause him to lose his cool. And it's going to result in Boston going like a big run. And, again, I don't think Klay Thompson hasn't found a shot, like you said. It's not going to be game 6 Klay coming out because it's game 4. So if that says anything, we're not going to see Klay Thompson until game 6, if it even makes it to game 6. So, right. I mean, I got Boston winning it. And I'll go with a score of the winner's been hitting 100 every time. And I'll go I'm gonna go 109.98. 109.98. Just because, like I said, the Warriors can't get that scoring, so they're not going to get over 100. Boston's going to be Boston and get their point total. So that's our prediction. Check back next week or watch tonight, obviously, on TV tonight at 9 o'clock again, Eastern Standard Time. You can check out the NBA Finals, check out our predictions. And again, always feel free to comment or hit us up if you want to come in on a discussion with us. So now we're going to transition into Louisville baseball postseason. Louisville baseball is now moving into the NCAA Super Regionals for the 9th time in program history. It's crazy. It's a huge accomplishment. This has been one of the more consistent athletic programs in UofL for years past, for at least less 2 decades with Dan McDonald there. So we've been more consistent with him there. I feel like this is huge for us because, you know, we beat Michigan twice, which was crazy. I mean, we beat Michigan in back-to-back games to advance into the Super Regional, and we outscored them 31-10. I mean, that first game was 20-1. That was beyond me. I was like, man, they're trying to show that they can win. And then when we started watching game 2, kind of got a little shaky there at first because I remember you texting me like, "You watching this?" I'm like, "Now I am." They went down 2-0, I believe, going into that, but then they just went on a big run once. I think it was in the first inning, like. Went 7. Yeah,
and then the rain delay came and pushed a little bit, and the Michigan came out of the rain delay, put up big numbers. I think it was the bottom of the 8th when Louisville came back and got that lead that they eventually held on to win.
Masterman.
Some controversy there at second. I'm not gonna lie, that I think he was out. No, not even rivalry bias. That review completely shows that hand going like this and those fingers coming up. That review could hold up for a conviction in court that he was
out. I heard plenty of talk shows talk about this and discuss it, but the main thing you got to get from it is this is one of the key elements of every sporting event that will not be taken out, and that's the human error element. The umpire said save. Video wasn't undisputable, so again, you can't really overturn it because it's like I can't clearly see this. We don't have, can't freeze frame with a perfect pixels and see it. So we win some, you lose some. If we would have lost on that, okay, we got to bite the bullet. But we've lost on plenty of those kind of occurrences. Prime example: football lost to Wake Forest when mysteriously 1 second got put back on the clock before halftime, and they kicked the field goal, which eventually they end up winning by 3 points. I mean, you run the ball with 4 seconds left. There's no way you're able to, get the ball and down it before, the time runs out. But somehow they did. It's a human element. It's something in the game that you got to love, and sometimes you hate it. And I think that was one of those occurrences. Michigan fans hate it, but it is what it is. But the Masterman home run was a great. Sean Moth is the announcer for those games, for the Louisville games. He's a great person to listen to. And when I was listening to the game, when we got a strikeout, he had a cool saying. He said, "Caught him staring like he was standing in a line at the DMV." I was like, that's something I got to write down. I don't know if he writes these down before he, gets there and it was a strikeout. Okay. Caught him staring like he was at the DMV. Man, he's a great guy to listen to. I think we're great to listen to as well, but he's a legend for sure for UofL baseball. So UofL baseball will take on in the Super Regional Texas A&M, and it will be down in College Station. So I know you were telling me the weather down there, heat. So do you think this will play a key factor in the games?
I definitely think at some point it will. I know tonight's a night game. I think it's 8:30 on ESPNU. But the daytime temperature in College Station today, tomorrow, and Sunday is the high is 104 degrees and straight sunshine. So I know it can get hot, where we're at, but most of the time it's a little bit more humid out there in that dry Texas heat. It might be a little bit better, not as humid, but it's going to be hot. It could definitely play a factor in it. They've had a week to prepare. Hopefully these guys stayed hydrated all week. Get out there and hopefully they get to take care of business. University of Louisville definitely needs something a little bit more positive going on. They've had a string of ups, so if they could get out of College Station this weekend, then I definitely could see it happening. keep that string of good luck going.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's a win just to be in the Super Regional. Of course, you don't want to just be in. You want to actually compete and do something. So no, I don't want us to go and get blown out the next few games. I want to actually compete and get a win here. So it's great for the program, and just to keep the great things rolling, like you're mentioning. The Athletics just announced that they're doing a $1 million expansion into Jim Patterson Stadium, which is where the baseball team plays. This is a part of one of the biggest budgets approved in UofL history, which we hit $114 million in our budget, which is up $7 million from our quarterly budget last year. So this is huge. I know how we mentioned it can be a variety of reasons of why our budget went up, from paying off coaches to doing renovations, giving contract extensions. But I think it's huge by putting that $1 million expansion at Jim Patterson Stadium. The baseball team deserves it because, again, they have been a very consistent program for us. So we're going to transition again into another new hire for this week, but this time it's on the NBA side. The Los Angeles Lakers hired Darvin Ham. Good news for them. He's been an assistant coach, never had the head coaching job, but he's been an assistant coach in this league. He was the assistant coach for the 2021 NBA champs, Milwaukee Bucks, and was the assistant coach previously for the Lakers back in 2011, 2012. That was his first time. But his playing career-wise, he played 8 years in the NBA. He played for the Nuggets, Pacers, Wizards, Bucks, Hawks, and Pistons. And he actually won the championship in 2004 with the Detroit Pistons. So he has a championship as a player. Did he play a lot? No, but he was still on that team. He knows what the chemistry was on the championship team. He knows what it takes. And then he was a coach for it. So he knows, again, what it looks like on the coaching side to win a championship. So he brings a huge element for them. He's from Michigan. He went to Texas Tech University. Again, this is big for them because Russell is a big fan, and he's enthusiastic for the hire. So, and Darvin Ham said this, and quote, "Don't get it messed up. Russell Westbrook is one of the best players our league has ever seen, and there's still a lot left in the tank. I don't know why people tend to try to write him off. Well, he hasn't had the best season last year, but again, you can't write him off. He's still Russell Westbrook, Mr. Triple-Double, Mr. MVP. So I agree with Darvin Ham. There's still a lot left in that tank. So what do you think of that hire?
The hire, first time head coach, we'll see how it goes. I think the problem is, evidently, him and Russell like each other, signed off on it. For the most part, though, the problem is still your roster. Your roster is still the same. Your roster still can't stay healthy, and your roster underperforms. So I don't see them being able to make any drastic changes to that roster. I don't see AD staying healthy. I don't see Russell learning how to shoot past 10 foot or dunks or layups. And LeBron's can only do so much. He's getting up there in age. He's still, a freak of nature for how old he is, but he can only do so much. And your role players aren't completely the best either on offense or defense. So the problem is still the roster. So hopefully they'll be able to overhaul that roster a little bit, give him an actual fighting chance with a good group of guys and whatnot. Because for the last thing you want to see is him failing as a coach, but not giving him a roster that's suitable enough to win. Because that roster right now is not suitable enough to win their division, to win the West, to go to the finals at all.
No. So quick question. Would you trade LeBron James or Anthony Davis? Who would you trade on that team right now if you had to?
What are you trying to win now, or are you trying to build for the future?
Build for Darvin Ham so he doesn't get there and only be there for 2 years. As a coach, who would you trade?
I would trade LeBron to start. If you're trying to build for the future and get a good core of guys, he's probably the one that can give you the most return via draft picks or quality guys, or AD as well, or both. AD can't stay healthy. There, get what you can for him and ship him off. Now you always have the what if factor. He goes somewhere else, stays healthy, does what he needs to do. But at the end of the day, he's been there 3 years now, hasn't maybe played a season and a half worth of games. He can't stay healthy. He needs to hit the weight room, get a little stronger.
What I would say for that, like you're saying, if you want to build for the future, I think it's best for the first season. You want to keep them, LeBron and AD and Russell, together one more year. Try to pour as much as you can into all three of them. Try to make them look good for their NBA teams, because right now they've seen how they play. They see AD can't stay healthy. They see LeBron's age is finally showing. So I feel like they won't really get much out of them right now. But if they go one more year and get more, more accomplished, actually make the playoffs this year and actually make a little bit of a run, I think they'll get a little bit more in return if they do decide to get rid of either one of those. But another crazy thing about Darvin Ham, before I go on to the next topic, but I was looking it up. This man was shot in the face at age 14 when he was in Michigan, and so he persevered a lot. So that's crazy. I hope he does well. Again, go through all that, man, at 14, and then still made the NBA. Still, is doing great things. But that's crazy. I seen that and I was like, man, that's wild. So yeah, next topic. So my team, as I mentioned before, Denver Broncos, have a new ownership. They breached one of the biggest agreements for sale, which was $4.6 billion is how much they sold for, which is a crazy amount of number. The next closest was about 2-point-something billion for the Carolina Panthers, which is Carolina Panthers sold for that much. So yeah, they sold for $4.6 billion, and it was the Walton Piener family ownership group. Hope I'm saying that right. It was a record again. The Walton Piener group is actually headed by Walmart heir Rob Walton. His daughter Carrie Walton Piener and her husband Greg Piener also are co-CEOs of Ariel Investments, and they're on the chair board for Starbucks Corporation, and they are director of JP Morgan Chase. So with all that jumble I just said, pretty much screamed out, we got money, we got money, we got money. So, I mean, it's not final. The sale isn't final until it's voted on by the NFL team owners. Of course, like any other purchase, all the others have to agree. And then the finance committee must review the purchase and make sure it's good. I think that's crazy. It's huge. But this isn't the first team that they bought or have. This group, Walton Piener Group, also own majority of the teams in Denver. They own 5 of the 6 major professional sports franchises. They own the Denver Nuggets, Colorado Avalanche, Colorado Rapids, and the Colorado Mammoth, potentially the Broncos. This wasn't the last thing that they did. They also reached out to Peyton Manning, one of my favorite quarterback of all time and favorite player of all time, about an advisory role with the team. But this won't be the last stop. It will also can translate into more involvement with the team, and also will give him equity stake into the franchise, which essentially means Manning will own a share of the Broncos. So I think that's huge for Denver Broncos with a new ownership, and it's huge for Peyton Manning, who I think his portfolio just continues to grow with the Manning cast, with all the commercials he does, and now potentially getting a stake in the Broncos. So what do you think of that hire? I mean, does it really matter on the field wise? It could, because they decide, kind of big movements with the team, but you think that play any kind of factor into their performance this year?
Well, maybe not this year specifically, but maybe a couple years down the road, we're going to see the ramifications of it, because as we all know, the salary cap in the NFL isn't really a salary cap. There's ways to work around it with signing bonuses and stuff like that, guaranteed money. And I think it'll definitely play a part. You look at the Rams and how they've been able to construct their team, keep that group of guys together, making absolute ridiculous amounts of money. But there's ways to work around it, and they have the money to use it to work around those ways. And I definitely believe that, it will pay dividends for free agent signings down the road to compete with, those teams that also can spend money like that. Yeah,
definitely. We'll see how it goes. I think what was the big attraction, other than them owning almost every other team in Colorado, is Russell Wilson being in. It's huge for the Broncos, and that's smart on them for an investment opportunity with the Broncos, which I had $4.6 billion to offer for my investments. Jeez. So I know I just discussed all my topics there. So Jordan, you have a little bit you want to discuss with NHL playoffs and a little bit what's going on in the golf world.
Yeah, so NHL playoffs, Colorado swept Edmonton to move into the NHL or the Stanley Cup final. So one half of my Stanley Cup final prediction is correct so far. the other one, Tampa Bay, won last night. They are now up 3-2 on the Rangers. That one's still iffy because, as I was listening this morning, the Rangers have been down 3-2 in every series they played this postseason and have come back to win every series this postseason. So we'll see how it goes. Honestly, they're going back to Tampa Bay for Game 6. So Tampa Bay might, with the home ice advantage, be able to lock that up, move on into the finals and get started next week on trying to go for their three-peat. I definitely think that Andre Vasilevsky, the goalie, has definitely turned up after his poor performances in Game 1 and 2. So we'll definitely see how that plays out in the NHL side of things. I still think Tampa is going to get a chance at that three-peat. In terms of the golf world, it kind of got turned on upside down this past week, especially with the new Live Golf backed by the Prince of Saudi Arabia and the Saudi Arabia Investment Fund and whatnot. They definitely got some big name golfers coming in that have left the PGA Tour, gone over to play in this invitational series, that they've now been banned from playing in the PGA Tour ever again. So we'll see how it works out. But money does talk. We're talking about this new Live Golf series has a total purse for each event of $25 million. $5 million goes to the team. What Live Golf does is everyone's drafted into a 4-man team. So $5 million of every event goes towards whatever team posts the best score. And then $20 million is divided up between the individual players. We're talking first place is getting $4 million paycheck for a 54-hole golf tournament. We'll see. I like the idea. They're doing some different things with it, with the team format. They're going to have a team playoff at the end of the year with each 4-man group. It's a smaller field. There's no cuts. I was watching the broadcast yesterday via YouTube. It seemed really interesting. They've got some high profile guys that are coming on. They've got some low name guys, but I mean, at the end of the day, money talks. You're not going to walk. You're not going to have a payday. And the big retractor to the Live Golf is the Saudi Arabian money and people questioning the morals of said golfers that are leaving to go into this. And I was listening on lunch the other day to Bart and Hahn on ESPN radio. They were talking about this, and Bart Scott made what I thought was a really good point as to we're not going to be able to pick and choose when we want to elect our morals. It's like the NBA does business with China, and we all know China has sweatshops, the communist regime and everything like that. We're not going to pick and choose when our morals are going to be put in play. It's like you become an athlete, you love the game, and to make money. They're going to make money. The politics behind it in sports, it is what it is. They're in it to make money. That's what they're going to do. So, I just liked the fact that he said, we're not going to pick and choose when our morals are put in play. When the NBA ends their relationship with China, then we can maybe talk about other sports ending their, agreements. Nike has sweatshops in Thailand. We're going to boycott all different, I think Nike has the NBA rights for jerseys, NFL rights for jerseys, MLB rights for jerseys. I mean, if we're looking at it that way, we need a new company for jerseys too. So I think it's good. It's going to end up with a good competition. I think a lot of guys actually will leave and join it, especially if obviously the money is going to be right. You've got $255 million put up for the events this season in the Live Golf tournament, which is not that many. I think it might be 10 total events or less. So we'll see how it plays out. I think it's good. I think maybe down the road both can coexist, but it all depends on what plays out with the PGA and what they allow.
Exactly. Like you said, money talks. If you ain't gonna give me my money, then I'm gonna walk. I like that moral statement, honestly. You try to keep, I don't know, the sports world and politics have been back and forth for decades, forever, honestly. When one moment, news channels are telling basketball players to shut up and dribble. Next moment, you're telling golfers, oh, that's not morally right. Why are you doing that just for money? Like, you got to pick and choose. So, like you just said, don't tell me to use my morals now when just a few years ago you were just telling a basketball player to shut up and dribble, but now you're telling me to have morals when I'm swinging a club and making $4 million if I win. Like, come on. I'm here to make money. I seen a video where a guy was doing a news conference and the reporter asked a hard question. Of course, they're going to ask it. I mean, I knew it was coming. He probably knew it was coming. The person he asked, I'm not sure who it was exactly, but he asked him, with all the killings that are going over there, all the women that are being oppressed, all the discrimination towards sex over there, like, are you really going to go over there and and allow that, or not allow it, but pretty much you're going over there and still playing? He's like, I'm pretty much, I'm here to make money, man. I'm a golfer. I'm going to play golf. And when I signed this contract, it's for me to play golf, not to go tell another country how to run itself. I don't tell America how to run itself. I'm not going to tell another country. I'm here to play golf. So again,
I mean, didn't Michael Jordan back in the day, wasn't his big thing on not going and sponsoring candidates for different electoral positions, was Republicans buy shoes too? I think that was somewhere along those lines of that, like, Republicans, conservatives buy shoes too. So I mean, it's been around forever. Athletes want to make their money. That's what they're there to do. That's what they've and rightfully have achieved with their status and their athletic ability, is to make money, and they're going to maximize that. So
exactly, can't get mad at the man for making money when he's got to make a living. If his living's playing golf, his living's not been in a political office. His living has been on that golf course winning. So, all right, more power to him. I'm hearing 4.6 billion now. I'm hearing $4 million. Gosh.
I mean, I think the last place finisher gets $120,000 to finish last place. I'll take that too.
I go out there and shoot probably the worst round of golf ever recorded, but I'll take that 120 happily. Be out there smiling, cheering with a Corona or something. All right, so we have a new segment I wanted to do. Just add a little fun to the end of our videos because we are at the end of it. But it's sports trivia. So Jordan, as I mentioned, I have a few questions I'm gonna ask you. Nothing too hard. Maybe some that will make you think a little bit. But we have golf ones, we have tennis ones, a little football, and a little basketball. So first question: how old was Tiger Woods when he won his first Masters?
First Masters. I think 19.
19 final answer?
Yeah.
All right, that's close. 21. He was 21 years old when he won his first Masters, which made him one of the youngest players to actually win the Masters at that age. I think he was the youngest to win it at that age. So he won his first Masters at 21. Another golf question: how long are players allowed to look for their ball in golf? I thought this was a crazy question when I seen it. I heard about it before, but I didn't know it was this long. So how long are players allowed to look for their ball in golf?
5 minutes.
Correct. I forgot you're a golfer. All right. So really,
well, the backstory of that one is actually one of the guys that left the PGA Tour to go to live golf. It was actually like maybe a month ago in a tournament. They started the watch too early for him looking for his ball because there's like a really thick patch of rough and a creek running through it. He had to jump over the creek to get over to look for his ball. They started it before he made his way over the creek, and then they said time was up. So it's still fresh in my mind. I knew it from back in the day.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, 5 minutes.
So what happens after that 5 minutes? What happens?
I believe after 5 minutes, if you cannot locate it, you have to go back to where you hit your last shot. Take a drop. So let's say it was your second shot. You're going to go back, take a drop, counts as a stroke. That'll be 3. You'll be on your third shot, hitting your fourth shot. So essentially, you have to add a stroke to that hole.
Gotcha.
And go back to where you hit it.
And that can change a lot. That can change the trajectory of the rest of that tournament. So yeah, that sucks. Hopefully they do a little bit different and live. I know it's part of golf, but 5 minutes, man. Geez, I don't know what kind of greens they're gonna be playing out there in Saudi Arabia, but
No, they played in London this week. There's different. They're in Boston. They're in Miami at the end of the year. It's all around the world. It's not just in Saudi Arabia. I believe it's just mostly the Saudi money that's the issue. Gotcha. It's not even in Saudi Arabia. So
gotcha. Well, that's good to know. All right. So third question. Another tricky, cool question, but the dimples on a golf ball, so the little indents on the golf ball, give in traction on the terrain. How many dimples does an average golf ball have?
I'm gonna say 90, 95. Not 100% sure on that one.
Final answer?
Yeah, I'll stick with it.
95. That is incorrect. 336 dimples on a golf ball. That is a wild number. I was like, is the ball that big to have that many? But that's how many was on there. So that's pretty cool. All right. That was a hard one. I'll give you an easy one. So what is the term for a zero score in tennis?
I play tennis. This is bad. It's
trying to show you some
love. It's love, okay. Right?
There you go. Love. Trying to show you some love with that question. Easy one. All right. Another easy one. Baseball now. Who holds the single season record for home runs in a season? Well, single season.
It's either just off the top of my head, the first one that pops in my head was Barry Bonds. Mm-hmm. Either Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron.
It's too good.
I'm gonna go with Barry Bonds. It just popped in my head instantly.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Correct. Yes, Barry Bonds. Most home runs in a single season. Is it questionable? Who knows? He still did it. He still went out there and performed it and got it. So now we're going to go to NFL. Which NFL team is the only team to never host nor play in the Super Bowl?
Host or play in the Super Bowl? Cleveland?
Yeah, that's an easy one.
I mean, it's not going to host a damn Super Bowl, but...
Yeah. I mean, what Joakim Noah said, I never heard of many people saying I want to go to Cleveland for vacation. So I don't see that as a major destination. No disrespect to Cleveland. I'm sure it's a beautiful place to go. LeBron helped out there. But a reason why I know that one easily is, I mean, it's a funny saying, but I'm taking the Browns to the Super Bowl. That's the only time they'll ever go to the Super Bowl is when you're going to the bathroom. All right. So keeping on the NFL trend, what team won 3 Super Bowls in the 1990s?
Cowboys.
Correct. Also, relative to the last question, who went to the Super Bowl 4 times in the 1990s without winning?
Bills.
Yeah, there you go. You got the NFL trivia down. There you go. All right, last one. Who holds the record for most personal fouls? This is NBA. Who holds the most record for most personal fouls in their career?
Rasheed Wallace.
That's a good answer. His answer actually shocked me. That's a good one. I'll give you one more try.
All right. Most personal fouls in their career.
He may be there with technical fouls or Rasheed Wallace, but
Ron Artest.
Final answer?
Yeah, I'll stick with that. I'm not sure.
Wrong. It is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He leads in points and he leads in fouls. I didn't get the total amount of fouls, but I did add it soon will be Draymond Green. He's fouling out with, only 2 points, so if he keeps that trend like he did in game 3 going, he will soon pass up Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So that was my last question for you. Again, this is the new segment I wanted to add to our videos, just a little light on there. We won't do it every time, or maybe we will do it every time, maybe something different. But I'd like to also add, so look out for our future episodes. We're going to do a mock draft coming out soon. So we're going to develop something for the NBA with the draft coming up June 23rd. Of course, after the NBA finals are over with and we get that final lineup, and get to see what players are available, how players are doing in their camps, and how they're doing with doing different training sessions with teams. We'll put out a prediction who we think will have who will pick which player in the draft. So look out for that next. And then also we're working on our Facebook, Twitter, and website. other social media outlets. So look for those to drop soon. We're so close to getting those out there, and we look forward to you dropping in and checking out those websites where you can find all of our video content. And of course, you can chat with us on Facebook, Twitter, and other social media. So thank you again for tuning into our episode. I hope you enjoyed. Again, watch the game tonight, NBA Finals Game 4, Boston going against Golden State Warriors. Again, my prediction is Boston to win it. Drizzy has them to win it as well. So go ahead and watch that game and check back with us next week and see how our predictions pan out. Again, I'm TStalls.
Drizzy, signing out.